from the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. This is maybe the third time I'm doing. I'm having again a guest that I had last year, but this time bringing another co-founder with him. So Ankur, Verma, thank you very much for being here, co-founder of TrueGradient, and we have Jasneet. He's also a co-founder and chief revenue officer. It's good to see you again, Ankur, and Jasneet. Thank you for joining Ankur this time because we're gonna tackle from both maybe technology and business perspective. So just quickly, if I'm not sure, Ankur, maybe just remind us, what TrueGradient is and what you do, guys, and then we can start to take it from here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mehmet. It's my pleasure to be on the show again. Thank you so much for hosting me again over here, along with JK, Jasneet over here. Amazing. Real quick about TrueGradient AI. So this company is a self-serve AI platform which has been built for supply chain optimization, primarily built for solving problems like demand forecasting, inventory optimization, price optimization, assortment. In the CPG retail world today, there are problems related to excess stock, stockouts, so the pricing related issues. So supply chain optimization platform is a platform which really eases for any supply chain analyst or somebody who's not very well versed with technology, machine learning technology or deep learning technology can go ahead and use this to solve different problems in their area. So,
Welcome back again, Ankur. Thank you for that. Now, like for someone who might not be familiar, because you mentioned a couple of things, but I'm interested to know in what is the self-serve AI in supply chain planning? Can you like a little bit deep dive more into it?
Absolutely. That's right, Mehmet. The self-serve AI, which we talk about, I would say it's really a new category that we are trying to build out over here. And the reason for that is in all over the places, whenever we talk about any e-commerce company, any retailer, CPGs, so over there are certain places, certain supply chain analysts who are taking decisions day in and day out, right? And all of they are working primarily on Excel sheets and trying to solve problems through some of the approaches which are very smart, but not a ML driven or AI driven approaches that is being worked over here. What we did is we've built this platform which can be accessible to any supply chain analyst or any analyst for that matter. They can come, connect the data, right, and build models over it to be able to solve different types of problems in a self-serve manner. So we onboard them through a training session and then let them or allow them to use it for any time and every time they want to generate any type of solution that can be related to a demand forecasting, inventory optimization, as I mentioned during the introduction of TrueGradient AI over here. So that's mainly what we are calling self-serve AI and primarily the most important thing being the neuro optimization models or the machine learning and deep learning models, which are today tackled by like the neuroscience folks or the data scientists who are sitting across the globe, has become accessible to these supply chain analysts through the TrueGradient AI in a self-serve manner. Yeah,
That's great. Yeah, absolutely. But now let's shift to more the business side of the story. And Jasneet, like you take care of the sales organization. And of course, when you talk to your customers, you need to talk about the different use cases or maybe the business problems that your platform and such platforms can solve. So if you can little bit tell us what are the problems or the challenges that businesses are facing and how you convey the message to them from a use case perspective.
Right. Oh, no, thanks, Mehmet. Great to be here, and and great question. So, there are various use cases or problems that can be solved through self-serve artificial intelligence paradigm, right? I think, but the most valuable, in our opinion, and when we say most valuable, we mean those problems which mean that you know. Uh, which basically you move the dial a lot for the company, demand forecasting, inventory optimization, promotion optimization. I think, kind of alluded to that in the beginning. But, the business context is in particular CPG and retail. The leading indicator of supply chain health for a retailer is basically on-shelf availability. For example, if you walk into a Walmart store and you're looking for a product, and if it is not there, you're disappointed, right? It's a out of stock situation, and not only it is loss of sales for Walmart, but it might be also loss of customer because next time you might go to some other retailer. It's a very big, it all relates to, I mean, if the on-shelf availability is poor, it is mainly driven by, factors like, um, not able to predict the demand of the consumer accurately and not able to also have the right optimal, I call it, not right, I call it optimal is technically the right word, optimal inventory mix in the network, in the supply chain network, in particularly store, but even upstream supply chain locations, right? So with that, and that is one of the things again is solved by forecasting and inventory optimization. And then on the other hand, the mandate or one of the important KPI for CPG, consumer product good company, is fill rate, which is which measures their ability to fulfill orders coming from a retailer. For example, a Mondelez fulfilling, Walmart order will be measured on their fill rate. So again, for them as well to be able to accurately predict the demand of an end consumer like Ankur, I or yourself is super critical, and then an optimal inventory profile, along with the retailers and CPG companies offer discounts, promotions. What is the right promotion depth, right? I mean, if you walk into, let's say a Nike store or an Adidas store, and you see a percentage discount of 20%, 30%, there is science and math behind coming up with that number, right? How do you come up with the optimal number? You don't want to give a very big discount and, which leads to margin erosion, but you want to just meet the right optimal number to meet your sell-through target within the timeline that you have. So that is called kind of optimize. So these are the three large problems you're solving at the end of the day, ensuring, the age-old, phrase, which is always used in the supply chain world, uh, you know, having the right inventory at the right time in the right quantity, right, for CPG and retail.
That's great. And of course, like this is all to, it goes to increasing efficiency, it goes to increasing revenues and
Exactly.
avoiding risks of overstock or low stocks and all these things. Now, Anchor, like you mentioned, like some features, or let's say some elements that are in the self-serve AI minutes ago. So you mentioned machine learning and the others, but like what are like some other features from technology perspective for having like a proper self-service AI in supply chain planning?
That's a great question, Mehmet. And this is something which is I would like to actually elaborately answer this question because bringing up TrueGradient AI, the kind of features that we brought in was through our entire experience, through all four founders here sitting who are part of TrueGradient. In the past 6 years to 7 years, one of the things which I also had faced challenge, and a lot of other data science folks and analysts faces challenge, is to be able to get an interface, right? As an example, if I have to run certain deep learning models or some of the models which are complicated enough and which require certain infrastructure, there doesn't exist any very sweet interface wherein I can go tag the data, call up these complicated neural network or machine learning algorithms and run through it. So what we wanted to create is rather than going to every like whenever a new project comes, rather than coding it right from scratch, there should be a capability, a very user-friendly capability, which can help any analyst, any data scientist to use that and deploy their models. So the first thing which I will call is the user interface, very deep, very, very connected to any analyst who is very much acquainted to work into. So that's the first thing which we wanted to bring together. It took a lot of thought, really 2 to 3 years of thought process to how do we simplify this process, because it's not an easy problem to solve. The second one, we realized that data engineering is giant. That is one of the biggest problem that a lot of people, like whenever we talk to a customer, the first question which comes, hey, are you solving your data problem? Like, is the data integration seamless? Are we able to connect to different types of connectors within a shorter period of time? So that is the second problem wherein I talk about having multiple connectors into the system, API level connections, so that we can connect different systems and bring the data together into TrueGradient, so that none of the insights really gets missed while we are building any machine learning models or deep learning models. So that's the second part, which is around the data connectors part. And then then it's all about how good your models are. Can you extract multiple features or factorization? Uh, just to give you an example, we work with certain customers who, let's say, Ramadan is going on at this point of time, right? So, and it is a moving season. So, for a FMCG brand, for a food and beverage brand, it's super critical to understand how is the demand shifting happening over there. So, in order to accomplish that, our AI models are capable enough to generate the right factors, to learn and generate the right factors and do the predictions accordingly. So and we also use a bit of generative AI technique over there to be able to generate the factors or the levers which will make our predictability better. So that's the machine learning and deep learning part of it, which is around the predictions and all. Then one of the important thing is optimization. Once you build the models, so because as JK was mentioning from business standpoint, what matters to business is, are we reducing the stockouts? Are we optimizing the inventory to not to get into a wastage kind of scenario? Are we getting the prices right or not? So that requires optimization, deep optimization methodologies. And every business is unique, as we all know. So what we are able to do through TrueGradient is to be able to add multiple constraints. So as an example, we work with a couple of customers wherein we are having as much as like 20 constraints, be it supply side constraints, demand side constraints, to be able to run the inventory optimization, because there are these many constraints for them to be able to be predictable for them. So that's the optimization bit which we have got into our system. Final bit is around the once you have built the forecast, it might not suffice well because again, there can be some of the unpredictables, right? So that what we allow is scenario planning activity, wherein we allow the supply chain analyst or a planner to go ahead, make certain enrichments. Yeah, like I mean, I was during the COVID time, I was doing forecasting at that point of time as well. It was really a hard time to forecast because if the data is lost, if there is no data for a given point of time, you need to bank upon some of the adjustments or the enrichments that you do. So our platform allows to do different types of enrichments to change different types of scenarios and rebuild or enrich your forecast or the optimization basis that. So yeah, long answer, but yeah, I just wanted to bring all the aspects together over here.
No, that's perfectly explained, and thank you, Ankur, for this detailed explanation. So the aim here is also to educate, also on technical level, how these things and why these things are important. And you just did this. Like now, I would go back to Jasneet, and you mentioned a little bit about the use cases. Now, if you want to put some numbers next
Mhm.
to these benefits, so
Yep.
how does the self-service AI, from numbers perspective, benefit supply chain organizations?
Yep. No, that's a great question again, Mehmet. I think, see, going back to what I mentioned, let's start from there. Let's start peeling the onion kind of from that broad objective. Any organization that exists, a retailer or a CPG, service a customer, a consumer, right? Especially a retailer. So it all starts from a service level. Everybody wants to be a best in class in terms of your service level. And and that service level basically, first of all, then helps you grow your revenue and margin because it reduces your loss sales. So we take that best in class supply chain, can actually then use these levers, to improve your service level, grow your revenue, and grow your margin. You know, a sophisticated self-serve AI methodology, which just now Ankur said, which involves, very sophisticated forecasting techniques and optimization techniques, can help forecast accuracy to go up by double digit. Almost, we have seen that in some cases, we have seen almost 20% improvement in forecast accuracy. That is dramatic, right? And that happens, especially for mid-enterprise sector. Unfortunately, that sector is totally doesn't have access to artificial intelligence or machine learning. The investment which large company does. So that is also kind of ambition, right, to democratize artificial intelligence for companies who don't have access to sophisticated technology or sophisticated modeling techniques, let's say. Uh, and yeah, so double digit forecast accuracy improvement. And then the second is inventory optimization, or the metric what measured as days of supply. So, up to 30% reduction in days of supply is what we have seen. And the last is, I think, the markdown spend, a promotion spend. So like I mentioned, sometimes you're just overspending on promotions, a markdown, and without any benefit, right? A 10% markdown might just deliver the same outcome rather than a 40% markdown, for instance, right? So you could have been just 10% to kind of get rid of your inventory in 30 days, for instance, but you end up giving higher because you don't have the right size or math model behind those decisions. So those are the three broad kind of areas and the results which we have seen, or we have seen in our past experience, and thankfully companies, large, small, or mid-size, who are embracing this fast evolving concept or paradigm are able to realize, I believe.
That's great to hear, Jasneet. Of course, like this is, I like to hear these numbers and these stories because they resonate also with decision makers. And mentioning
Yeah,
decision makers, because decision makers they take decisions, right? So, and this
indeed.
question for you both, and like feel free who would answer me this first. Maybe Ankur, you would answer maybe more from a technical perspective, and Jasneet, you would answer from business perspective.
Yeah,
So how the technology enhance the decision making actually in supply chain planning?
No, that's
great. Why don't you go ahead first, Ankur? Yeah. Mhm.
sure, JK. Yeah. One of the thing that me and JK we always talk about, right? Since past 6 months, we have been talking about to get numbers on the tip, like on the tip of the supply chain analyst, season maker planner. They should have, which are the items which are going out of stock, what are the items which are in excess over there. So from the product perspective, what we enable our customers is to feed them all the data that they are looking at every day. Yeah. So there are decisions for, let's say, if we talk about the F&B category, personal care category. So these types of categories that decisions are being taken maybe at a day part level. Like after every 4 hours, there is a replenishment required for certain items, right? So our product, like TrueGradient AI, enables these supply chain analysts and these decision makers to be able to proactively take these decisions. Yeah, from our predictive modeling power that we have generated. So they are able to know beforehand that what are those 10 items which we need to restock for the next day or for the next few hours so that they don't go out of stock. So that is a very critical or crucial thing that we see from decision making perspective. The second thing is also about a lot of aging and wastage problem is prevalent in the FMCG industry. Yeah? So once we see that there are certain items which are not going not going to cut through the market because they might expire or the tolerance might be too high for the retailers to take it, then our platform really allows the user to take a quick decision, to take a call around if they have to make a pricing decision and what is the pricing decision that they need to take to our optimization systems, right? The price recommendation optimization systems. So what we try to build is entire interconnected AI. So right from the demand forecasting to inventory to pricing to assortment, there is a single flow which flows, and every module knows what's going on with the other one, over there. So that's my take over the decision making enablement and big
Anything
things.
you, yeah, great, Ankur. Jasneet, anything you want to add maybe from a different
Yeah.
angle?
Yeah, no, I can add the business perspective here. I mean, let's talk about CPG, right? I mean, a CPG company, I like to break it into three kind of horizons. One is strategic horizon, strategic planning, and second is midterm planning. I call it SNOP planning, and third is I call it the execution horizon, where the sensing and replenishment happens. So if I break it down, the prediction which Ankur mentioned about can be in short-term horizon, mid-term, and long-term. So a long-term horizon prediction or forecast, let's say, Mehmet, which is like 5 years of forecast, right? It can be used for strategic decisions. For example, I'm a CPG company and I have to decide where to shut the plant, where to open the plant, where should I invest in new warehouses, which markets I should go, right? Those kind of decisions are based upon 5 years of called capacity planning or network design decisions, right? So that is one very important aspect. The second is, which is basically the main engine, it's just, very well known term in industry, sales and operation planning, or even called integrated business planning, where, you are providing forecasts weeks and months ahead. And that forecast is used to procure material, or it's used to also produce material, let's say, and then then you are placing the inventory in the right place, so that you are able to service your retailer, but from CPG perspective. So that's called sales and operation. And finally is the execution horizon, where you are moving products really from the distribution center to the retail store, right? And that's called execution. And we use sensing algorithms, daily level insight, right? Well, that's the CPG piece, right? So the full spectrum, right? And at the end of the day, demand forecast is the backbone of all these things. You can think of it as a unified demand forecast signal to in different horizons, right? If I go to the retail side of the story, it's a bit different, right? But in retail, actually, you can go very different for grocery and it can be very different for fashion. But perhaps quickly talking about just fashion space, is that you have pre-season planning and you have in-season planning. Then again, pre-season means that if I am planning, let's say for, the spring fashion lines, then I have, folks in US or North America have to plan it almost 12 months in advance because some of the supplies are coming from Asia. Lead times are long. So you use long-term forecast again to kind of, giving your orders to your vendors, for the seasons. That's pre-season. Then there is an in-season piece. You have all your product in a distribution center, let's say, imagine, and then you want to then allocate that product to different stores in different states, right? And then that's where it becomes more like more close to an execution use case. So those are the kind of business processes, if you will, which get impacted by the underlying science and tech. Hope
That's
it makes sense.
great. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great, I would say, complete picture, I would call it, and complete perspective on that aspect. Now, of course, and this is a question in technology is always asked. And I think it's non-different than with self-serve AI.
Mhm.
Anytime we want to implement a technology, so people say, okay, like talking about it on the slide, and the best case scenario is something, and when it comes to implementation and putting it in action is something else. And question for both of you, maybe Ankur, you could tackle from uh, technology perspective, and just it from maybe business perspective. What are usually the challenges that you've seen associated with implementing this technology?
Yeah, I think that's a burning question, Mehmet, and yeah, this is a question which actually I get a lot of times when I talk to whenever I present, when I pitch to a larger, especially a larger enterprise or larger companies, and I distribute. I say that there are four aspects to the challenges that we face out over here. The first one being the data quality itself. Like there's a lot of data to flow for us to get excellent results using some machine learning methodologies. It cannot be a garbage in, garbage out. So it's very, very important that we do a lot of due diligence over the data itself, which is being flown into the system, so that we make sure that the decision making is accurate, right? We're looking at the right data for the accurate decision making. So data quality becomes the first aspect of the entire framework that we look at. Second comes when we want to really solve these problems. So it cannot be, because we are talking about massive data flowing into it. So it has to be integrated. I was talking about some of the features that we built into our framework. Obviously, there are hundreds and thousands of like ERP systems. There are so many WMS systems which are sitting out there, and different customers have different types of places where the data resides. So integration bit is the second bit for the implementation perspective. That is our product seamlessly integrated to the respective ERP or not. So that's the second bit that we try to ensure, and the challenge which comes to us for solving it. The third point comes a lot around the security aspect, because it is a very important. I mean, there are government laws. I mean, just now a new law came in the from the European laws that we saw, right? So there is a lot of attention which is being paid to be able to get the data intact, so that the data is not being used otherwise, or in a it has to be used in the manner it needs to be implementation purpose. And the fourth one, which is the largest one for us, once you have cracked a customer and you are working with adoption, right? The adoption is the fourth one, wherein how do you make sure that uh, the business which has been operating in a particular way since past 20 years, or maybe 10 years or 5 years, whatever that time frame is, new technology that we are bringing into the system is able to make that difference. Yeah, is able to be utilized, and the supply chain managers are using it well. So yeah, that's my 4 points. Yeah.
It's a complete 360-degree, I would say, of all the challenges. So, Jasneet, do you want to add something on that? Maybe you see from a different perspective.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a very comprehensive outlook on the challenges. One thing from business point of view, which I think all the projects, AI projects I've been involved in, is challenge or opportunity you can say is that sometimes AI also has, uh, and it needs a lot of buy-in from the top management. Articulation of vision, what is really AI really going to do, how it is going to empower the workforce, and in not a negative way, but in a good way, right? Because at the end of the day, these tools are able to unlock productivity, and I believe humans can work on more high value work in the firefighting, and more of a works can be given to the machines, right? So that vision and that plan has to be communicated very well, and we need to reiterate that from the top management perspective, so that the change management piece is easy. And another thing, I think the challenge involved is also identifying the right champion, right, within the organization, who can work on the project, right, who can ensure, understands the soil and able to kind of be the catalyst of change. To identify that champion is super critical, right? I really believe if you have the right side of champions working together in collaboration with technology providers and all, that can make a huge difference. I have seen so many times a lot of talented teams and create solution not flying just because of the alignment of the team who was on the ground working, right? And so that is very important, I guess.
And my 2 cents into what you just mentioned, Jasneet, and of course, Anchor, all from technical point of view, absolutely. And the privacy is key, by the way. And we're gonna have very soon a complete episode with a guest on data privacy and all the aspect of that related to AI specifically. But to just this point, I believe it should, to your point, it should come from top. It should
Yeah.
be a plan from the executive levels. I think we started to see the light at the end of the tunnel because, unfortunately, and I'm saying this, people might agree or not agree with me. We've been at corporate level all the time reactive to the technology because we've seen someone is implementing it or someone heard
Mm.
something, we implement this. The
Yeah.
thing starts from self assessing the current situation. And
Yeah.
similar to because of course what you do is something more advanced than just a digital transformation kind of initiative. It's something
Mm.
that can take the business to a complete different level. I'm talking here about, of course, the sectors that you must interact with, which is retail, supply chain, and everything in between. So this
Yeah.
have to come from up there, of course. And to your point, of course, you need someone who would be the champion, if we can
Yeah.
call this way. Of course, definitely, people in sales will understand more about this. But I mean, from business perspective, so a champion for whoever initiated this initiative from the board level. So someone who's
Mm.
gonna take this and go to the organization, talk to every single one, and convince them that, hey guys, we need to implement this. And this is,
Right.
I'm relating this to the question. We mentioned the challenges, but the question next, which is very natural, how we overcome with these challenges. So I want to hear from both of you on this, Ankur and Jasneet. So from technical aspect, Ankur, you mentioned a lot of things. How are you tackling, or how organizations are tackling these challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think JK and yourself just now mentioned about getting a champion, right, within the team.
Mm.
And that plays one of the most crucial role in addressing a few of the challenges because out of four challenges that I mentioned, one of the problem is mainly related to how good the quality of data is. Are we able to integrate the system? These are the 2 points which I talked about, right? So it becomes really important to get someone in the team, a hero in the team who can help us to do a lot of validation, right? Someone who is believing in what we are doing over here. Yeah, it is making, more importantly, it is making, the product is making his or her life easier. And then the attention span comes out there automatically, right? And that helps us to do a very strong validation of different data which is flowing. And that really, I mean, practically speaking, it happens for like 1 to 2 cycles. By like 2 months, we are doing a lot of very intense validation over what was already prevalent and what TrueGradient is providing, just from the input data perspective and what we are seeing as an output. So that addresses the first thing. Right? Second one, which is fundamentally how all of these platform businesses has evolved over the time is training. So having a very intuitive training materials, right, which can be understood by anyone who wants to use the system is what our focus has been. And we have seen a lot of progress in past 6 months by getting those materials out, getting very, like very, very sharp commentaries about different features that are there in the model or in the platform itself. So these are the two main aspects which works primarily for us from that perspective. And from the security standpoint, I would say we are working on that because data governance law, abiding by all the data governance laws, there is a SOC 2 compliance, there are different compliances which you need to do as a platform, as a SaaS service or a SaaS AI platform. So we are investing and we are putting a lot of effort to ensure that when we are talking to customers, we can show the certificates to them that we are at the top of it, and the data is extremely secure because that is number one priority for us as well. So that's my 2 cents on that. Yeah, JK, over
Cool.
to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. No, thanks. That's good. I think I'll add two or 3 points here. One is, both from technical and business perspective. Now, I think one thing which I have, seen again in past experience, which really helps, especially on data quality, is upfront coming up with a data quality mitigation plan with your customer. As in, for instance, we've been in situations where customer will say, okay, and then there is never what I call as a, a perfect state of good data. Even very large enterprises are struggling with, quality data quality challenges, right? So it's always important to know what is mandatory data and what is good to have data. That perspective should be clear. And then, especially on the good to have data, what do you have right now, and what are the methodologies to overcome that data gaps over a period of time? For instance, one very tangible example is some customers would say that I don't have point of sales data for all my retailers, right? Normally they have for large retailers give point of sale, but then you can use shipment data as a proxy to start the journey, and then you can also set up timeline with your customer. Okay, maybe 1 year down the line, these customers you should try to acquire points, right? Because if you get point of sales data, by the way, you would get this much accuracy gain. And then you can do the analysis whether it is worth the investment to acquire the data. Those kind of objective discussions should start happening on data mitigation plan. Second thing, I alluded, I think, on identifying the champion and change management, building communication plans from the top and having also investing some, focus on investing in change management program is important, right upfront. I've seen companies who take it seriously. They will come up with, what is the communication plan, some newsletters, some conversations from the top management, right? Ensuring the typical, proper steering committee, sponsors. But more importantly, I think, given the champion you were talking about, a platform to socialize what he or she is learning with their peers, right? And then also the other thing around change management, doing a lot of training, right? They call it training. We call it train the trainer. So you need to ensure, as Ankur was mentioning, that person's important who's talking day in day out, to we train that person very well. It becomes an internal subject matter expert for the organization, and that person can cross pollinate and cascade that knowledge within the organization. So I think those are the tactics which should be not overlooked, if you were, and should also be given equal importance for any AI initiative which can have profound, deep impact on an organization. So it is a strategic initiative. One should look at that initiative holistically, and and then go about it. Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Jasneet. And again, especially now because you mentioned about AI initiatives, and of course, what you do, guys, help with these AI initiatives because it's leveraging and harnessing, the power of what AI machine learning can do to streamline
Yeah.
the business operations, save costs, and all this. So
Yeah.
it's important, first, in my opinion, to your point, the communication. So first, we need to understand on a company level why we are doing all this, right? So like having the end in mind, I like to call it this way. I'm a
Yeah.
big believer in this concept. Second, and I agree very much with you, if the owner, or we call him the champion, communicating with others, on the progress, so people will start to say, because of course there will be friction down the road. People will
Yeah.
say no. And to Ankur's point, like maybe the IT department will do some friction here. Maybe I don't know, some other departments, the supply chain department, they say, hey, we're busy, we cannot help. So when these communications start to happen, and show the value that why we're doing this, and
Yeah.
how things are progressing down the road, I believe this
Yeah.
will be a collaborative success for the organization implementing AI, and especially in the domain you are in. So absolutely. So gentlemen, like really I enjoyed the conversation. Like we covered a lot, and this time I loved having two guests. Someone speaking, Ankur is speaking about the technology, Jasneet also is speaking about the business aspect. Like this was fantastic conversation. And I could just remind us where we can find, the website. Of course, I'm gonna put it in the show note. If you can just tell it to us.
It's TrueGradient.ai is the
Easy.
website name. Yeah. It's easy peasy.
Easy. And of course, I encourage the audience to, go to the website, reach out to you or to Jasnet, both of you. So I wish you all the luck and success. I'm a big fan, and this is why we have you guys for the second time. I know you had great progress in the past year. So thank you very much for sharing. Jasnet, also your insights on the AI initiatives are very, I would say, insightful. not only again for the supply chain, I think it can be applied for other verticals also as well and other use
Correct.
cases. Yes. And Ankur, also what you mentioned about the techniques, I think it can be applied to many other domains, but you guys will focus on what you do. And as I said, I'm pretty sure you guys do fantastic in the near future. And for the audience, thank you very much for tuning in. If you just discovered this podcast by chance, thank you for passing by. If you did, we are available on all podcasting platforms. So subscribe to get the latest and share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you are one of the followers that keep coming, thank you for being loyal and thank you for supporting the show. And keep sending me your suggestions, questions. I like to read them all. And if you are interested to be on the podcast, you know how to find me. You just message me on LinkedIn and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll meet again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mehmet. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.